Monsieur, it will be necessary to reflect before I give you an answer. To reflect? Said Mercer, more and more astonished. Have you not had enough time for reflection during the 8 years which have elapsed since this marriage was first discussed between us? Count, said the banker, things are constantly occurring in the world to induce us to lay aside our most established opinions, or at all events to cause us to remodel them according to the change of circumstances, which may have placed affairs in a totally different light to that in which we at first viewed them. I do not understand you, Baron, said Mercer. What I mean to say is this, sir, that during the last fortnight unforeseen circumstances have occurred. Excuse me, said Mercer, but is it a play we are acting? A play? Yes, for it is like one. Pray let us come more to the point, and endeavor thoroughly to understand each other. That is quite my desire. You have seen M. de Monte Cristo, have you not? I see him very often, said Danglars, drawing himself up. He is a particular friend of mine. Well, in one of your late conversations with him, you said that I appeared to be forgetful and irresolute concerning this marriage, did you not? I did say so. Well, here I am, proving at once that I am really neither the one nor the other, by entreating you to keep your promise on that score. Danglars did not answer. Have you so soon changed your mind, added Mercer, or have you only provoked my request that you may have the pleasure of seeing me humbled? Danglars, seeing that if he continued the conversation in the same tone in which he had begun it, the whole thing might turn out to his own disadvantage, turned to Mercer, and said, Count, you must doubtless be surprised at my reserve, and I assure you it costs me much to act in such a manner towards you, but, believe me when I say that imperative necessity has imposed the painful task upon me. These are all so many empty words, my dear sir, said Mercer. They might satisfy a new acquaintance, but the Comte de Mercer does not rank in that list, and when a man like him comes to another, recalls to him his plighted word, and this man fails to redeem the pledge, he has at least a right to exact from him a good reason for so doing. Danglars was a coward, but did not wish to appear so. He was piqued at the tone which Mercer had just assumed. I am not without a good reason for my conduct, replied the banker. What do you mean to say? I mean to say that I have a good reason, but that it is difficult to explain. You must be aware, at all events, that it is impossible for me to understand motives before they are explained to me, but one thing at least is clear, which is, that you decline allying yourself with my family. No, sir, said Danglars, I merely suspend my decision, that is all. And do you really flatter yourself that I shall yield to all your caprices, and quietly and humbly await the time of again being received into your good graces? Then, Count, if you will not wait, we must look upon these projects as if they had never been entertained. The Count bit his lips till the blood almost started, to prevent the ebullition of anger which his proud and irritable temper scarcely allowed him to restrain, understanding, however, that in the present state of things the laugh would decidedly be against him, he turned from the door, towards which he had been directing his steps, and again confronted the banker. A cloud settled on his brow, evincing decided anxiety and uneasiness, instead of the expression of offended pride which had lately reigned there. My dear Danglars, said Mercier, we have been acquainted for many years, and consequently we ought to make some allowance for each other's failings. You owe me an explanation, and really it is but fair that I should know what circumstance has occurred to deprive my son of your favor. It is from no personal ill feeling towards the Viscount, that is all I can say, sir, replied Danglars, who resumed his insolent manner as soon as he perceived that Mercier was a little softened and calmed down. And towards whom do you bear this personal ill feeling, then? Said Mercier, turning pale with anger. The expression of the Count's face had not remained unperceived by the banker, he fixed on him a look of greater assurance than before, and said, You may, perhaps, be better satisfied that I should not go farther into particulars. A tremor of suppressed rage shook the whole frame of the Count, and making a violent effort over himself, he said, I have a right to insist on your giving me an explanation. Is it Madame de Mercier who has displeased you? Is it my fortune which you find insufficient? Is it because my opinions differ from yours? Nothing of the kind, Sir, replied Danglars, if such had been the case, I only should have been to blame, inasmuch as I was aware of all these things when I made the engagement. No, do not seek any longer to discover the reason. I really am quite ashamed to have been the cause of your undergoing such severe self-examination. Let us drop the subject, and adopt the middle course of delay, which implies neither a rupture nor an engagement. Ma foi, there is no hurry. My daughter is only 17 years old, and your son 21. While we wait, time will be progressing, events will succeed each other, things which in the evening look dark and obscure, appear but too clearly in the light of morning, and sometimes the utterance of one word, or the lapse of a single day, will reveal the most cruel calumnies. Calumnies, did you say, sir? Cried Mercer, turning livid with rage. Does any one dare to slander me? Monsieur, I told you that I considered it best to avoid all explanation. Then, sir, I am patiently to submit to your refusal? Yes, sir, although I assure you the refusal is as painful for me to give as it is for you to receive, for I had reckoned on the honor of your alliance, and the breaking off of a marriage contract always injures the lady more than the gentleman. Enough, sir, said Mercer, we will speak no more on the subject. And clutching his gloves in anger, he left the apartment. Danglars observed that during the whole conversation Mercer had never once dared to ask if it was on his own account that Danglars recalled his word. That evening he had a long conference with several friends, and M. Cavalcanti, who had remained in the drawing-room with the ladies, was the last to leave the banker's house. The next morning, as soon as he awoke, Danglars asked for the newspapers, they were brought to him, he laid aside 3 or 4, and at last fixed on the Impartial, the paper of which Beauchamp was the chief editor. He hastily tore off the cover, opened the journal with nervous precipitation, passed contemptuously over the Paris jottings, and arriving at the miscellaneous intelligence, stopped with a malicious smile, at a paragraph headed "We hear from Yanina." Very good, observed Danglars, after having read the paragraph, here is a little article on Colonel Fernand, which, if I am not mistaken, would render the explanation which the Comte de Mercier required of me perfectly unnecessary. At the same moment, that is, at 9 o'clock in the morning, Albert de Mercier, dressed in a black coat buttoned up to his chin, might have been seen walking with a quick and agitated step in the direction of Monte Cristo's house in the Champs-Élysées. When he presented himself at the gate, the porter informed him that the Count had gone out about half an hour previously. Did he take Baptistin with him?